To build a successful product, you need to understand how your customer makes buying decisions. That's the core idea behind Jobs to be Done, an approach to product design that we've adopted into our game thinking system. Recently, I got a chance to catch up with Jobs to be Done expert Chris Spiek. Chris's insights about how to understand and frame your customers' struggling moments blew my mind. Come listen in on our conversation and be sure to stay to the end to hear how Chris uses Jobs to be Done to find opportunities for innovation that are ripe and ready.
I started to gain an understanding pretty quickly of how much variability there was in the success of product launches. We would get hired to do work for a client and build a digital product or application. And at the beginning of the project, all the excitement was peaked, right? The client's excited, we're excited, everyone's jazzed. And then we would launch, and I got very, very bad at predicting what was going to happen because it always felt great up front. And then at the end, the thing would either take off and get mass adoption or it would tank. And we had done something wrong through that process. It was very satisfying and fun work from a technical perspective because I was building the latest and greatest and using all the fun tools, but it wasn't satisfying from an actual progress perspective. I couldn't predict it. It was just all hit or miss. How do you uncover what consumers are shopping for and what they're looking for? I didn't really honestly know that it was called product development, product management at the time because I was so deep into the software space. So I went into all the traditional need state analysis and persona creation and laddering and basically everything that I could find to solve that question so I could be a better service provider to the people that were hiring me and I could lend them some guidance around what I think that they could build. The methods that I found that are out there did not give me the concreteness that I was looking for as a developer or as an engineer. At the time, we would do personas, and I would say, our primary audience is a 30-year-old female professional, lives in the city, has $30,000 of disposable income a year, likes music, and likes going out with her friends on the weekends. And I would take that and I would look at the product that I'm building and I would say, I need to make very, very concrete decisions about what I'm building. And I can't understand how this persona leads me to make better decisions in the product or will lead me to have confidence in what I'm building. At the same time, I got connected to a gentleman named Bob Mesta, who was working with Clayton Christensen out of Harvard Business School. And Bob actually turned into a client of mine. And through long conversations over a number of years, introduced me to what were the early seedlings of Jobs to be Done. One of the core things that I came to understand is that context creates value. If I don't ask when, and I take the situation that the person is in and everything that's going on in their life, and I take that out, and I start just asking why questions, right? Why not choose this product over this product? Why not choose this product over this product? I call it espoused behavior. It's meaningless to the person because it's valuable for me as the product developer. But as the person that I'm asking the question, their mind is on 100 different things. It's like they're going to give me answers because they're nice and they're probably trying to help me get down my path. But the answers aren't connected to anything. There's a really quick story about my friend buying a minivan. So third kid on the way, go to visit, wife is pregnant, sitting down with both of them. One's got a sports car, the other's got a small SUV, and they're basically saying, we're upgrading. We're in Detroit, so all we talk about is cars, weird like that. We got to upgrade. We need a car with third row seats. We got to be able to fit the kids. We got to go out and shop for this, right? So I'm talking, okay, what are you going to get? Husband, we're going to stay sporty. I'm going Audi Q7. It's got 3 rows. It's got a big V8 with a supercharger. It's going to be amazing. Wife, I want the big Yukon, the big Chevy, right? More like a truck. I think I can get the car seats in easier. It's huge. Okay, kind of let me know how it plays out, right? By the way, why not a minivan? You're having a third kid. They're super offended, right? We're not minivan people. Those are so lame. I'm never buying that thing, right? It's just not a fit for me. Talk to them 2 months later. The baby has arrived. What's in the driveway? Oh, we went to the dealership and we looked at the Yukon and we looked at the Audi Q7. It was so hard to get around, but man, the minivan simplified all the doors both slide open. There's so much room inside. If it's cold, we can climb right in, all this stuff. So what we have is a $30 billion product category for a product that no one will ever tell you that they're going to buy. And this is back to where when I add context in and when I add struggle, the baby's on the way, you've got a timeline, the problem is emerging in front of you. And when you're trying different solutions, try the Yukon, try the Q7 with the car seats, nothing is really working. All of a sudden, I've got fit, but I only have fit because the context is creating the fit. The line of questioning fails on both sides. I show up with a super sexy product, talk to a technologist. I'm doing blockchain messaging, totally anonymous, all the security things. Oh my God, I'll switch to that in a heartbeat. A lot of times we're let down by those conversations. Or where is the adoption? We launched the thing. Everybody said that they would sign up for it. Where are these users? And it fails on the other side too. It's the minivan. If we would have gone out and asked people, what if we built this thing? Everyone would have said, no way. We miss out on hundreds of billions of dollars in the case of the minivan. So I've always got to inject. If I don't have a person in that switching moment, I won't give it the time of day. I just can't ask the questions. If I'm throwing away the feedback, I just can't use it. I won't introduce jobs to a product organization unless they understand that they're struggling. You got the 50 sticky notes on the wall. How are you choosing? And how are you choosing in a way that you have any sort of confidence in the decision that you're making? The thing that I see time and time again is product managers and people in product development start to view their world as a creative world and a creative exercise. And in some ways it is. But if the product managers and people working on developing the next thing feel the burden of, I need to sit and focus and stare at this thing until I birth this idea that is totally new to the world and is going to blow everybody away, I basically tell people we're doing it wrong. We need to actually go the other direction and say, it's not about the supernova explosion of like a great idea. It's more like solving a mystery. How do we go back and have conversations with the right people at the right time in the right context to understand what they're struggling with, and then let the path unfold from there? It's basically a 180-degree orientation shift that I try to get people to go through. The hardest part about it that I find is just by nature, we find most people in product are geeky on the technology side, right? So we are infatuated with the latest and greatest and all the technology that our competitors are using and everything that's coming out of the valley. And we want to find a way to use that as a starting point and say, how do I pull in AI to what I'm working on? How do I pull in blockchain? How do I pull in all these fancy things and then build off of that? The thing that I'm trying to get people to constantly say is go to your customer, find times that they've switched in the domain or in the context that you're looking for, find where they're struggling, where they're underserved with their current offering, where they made trade-offs that they're not happy about making, and then start your journey there. Because now you've got the bounds of a problem. You can pull all the fancy technologies in, but the conversations that you have, the causal sort of mechanisms that you uncover will give you the guidance to make those decisions about this thing fits. It will help these people make progress. I can listen to the story of the interview that I just did with a customer and put this post-it note down and say, if this person had this feature or this product, they would make progress faster. They would make less trade-offs. They would struggle less. They'd pay us a lot of money, things like that. All these other post-it notes I can deprioritize. So I'm constantly trying to work with product organizations to make that switch and say, if you're just doing the brainstorming or just viewing this as a purely creative exercise, you got to shift your perspective. It's not complicated. It takes a little bit of practice and it takes time. And that's, I think, the scariest part about it. What we ultimately do is we narrow in on our domain. So what are we really interested in learning about? Obviously, we've got some idea of a problem that we're solving or something we want to build, right? So we use that to frame the space that we're talking about. We go out and find a number of people who have made that switch. I'll use Autobooks as an example, right? We send an invoice, you accept a payment. A lot of our users on the small business side use PayPal. No fee, no monthly fee or anything like that. Easy to create an invoice, easy to get paid. Very similar in terms of people using a feature to get a job done today. So I would talk to Square users, PayPal users, QuickBooks users, figure out the bounds and the group of people that I want to talk to. And then I go talk to people who have switched recently, small business up to $1 million, up to a couple employees, wide variety of industries, and one-on-one sit them down. And basically, I don't talk about the product at all. You've got to start the conversation one way, right? So you signed up for PayPal and you got paid, you started using it 2 months ago. I want to know the context. I want to know what's going on in the business or what's going on in your life that caused you to say, I've got a million things on my plate and I'm trying to run this business that's crazy. I'm going to set aside time in my life to go set up a PayPal account. I'm going to set up time in my life to make sure that it fits and to figure out how to configure an invoice and send an invoice to a customer. All of a sudden that rose to a priority, a high priority for you. I want to know all the things that happened in your life that sort of pushed you to make that decision to spend energy on it. And then I want to know, how did you go shop? Did you talk to your friends? Did you do a Google search? Where did you find out about the solution? And then through that timeline, what decisions did you make about what was important and what was not important to you? I need to get the person into the mode of really thinking deeply about the series of events and unpacking those memories that happened between 30 and 60 days ago. There's a moment around 43 minutes where there's trust built. The person understands that I'm not trying to back them into a corner or catch them in a lie or do something weird. And there's also a level of immersion where they are so focused on, why did I buy this minivan? Nobody's ever asked me these questions before. I went shopping and I bought a thing. I've never asked myself these questions. And it becomes this cathartic thing where they're starting to connect dots. They're saying, oh my God, I forgot my friend called me and she was telling me about how great her minivan is. And they're telling the whole story. And then all of a sudden it just like cracks open and they're able to share so many details about all of the events that happen. The way I always think about it is dominoes falling. I want to find causality. You can imagine that timeline, the periods that we really drilled into. The holidays coming up, there's causality there. There's a phone call that you had that tips, right? Now you're into the shopping cart, you find three, there's another domino that tips. What sort of tips over time that leads to the purchase decision? If I can't find the one that's causing the next one to fall, I got to dive into that in the interview. I want to hear how the user wrestles with all of those little decisions. And then I need to combine things. So I have what they're struggling with. I have the trade-offs that they're making and the products that they're looking at. I have the decision that they ultimately made. And then the last piece of the puzzle is I have satisfaction. What I'm always looking for is that gap in satisfaction. I was struggling. I made progress. I made a decision. It kind of works. I still have this money in my holding tank. If we get too tied up into what I call the supply side, all the fancy whiz-bang technology, it's almost like we view the world as if nobody is making progress today and nothing is happening. But when you start talking to people who have purchased something similar to what you're thinking about building, you find all the trade-offs and you find all the opportunities where you can go innovate and say, these are the underserved population or underserved situations where I can go put my product into. There's already demand because people are struggling and it just takes off from there.
I hope you enjoyed our deep dive today into jobs to be done. If you want to learn more about job-style customer interviews, check out this video right here. And if you want to apply these techniques to your product, check out our coaching programs, gamethinking.io/programs. The link is in the description. Let's get smarter together. See you next week.